Hi, I'm Saveda Jerome. I'm a registered herbal practitioner in Nova Scotia. I operate the Bloom Institute in both Halifax and here at my home garden. I also have a herbal clinic and an apothecary in both locations. So my home is called Blue Forest Shores. I'm on the eastern shore of Nova Scotia, and it was my dream to have a herb garden on the ocean for over 20 years. And so finally I'm here. My partner and our friend Wouter left Halifax 6 years ago and moved here to create this space, a retreat center, our garden, and our home. So I'm going to show you around the garden, introduce you to the people of Blue Forest, the shoreline, and the forest itself. Let's go have a look. Okay, well, welcome to the Blue Forest Garden, and I'd like to introduce you to my partner, Yarrow.
Nice to meet you.
And our two dogs, Pico and Rexy. And Yarrow, in addition to helping tend to the gardens here, he does a lot of the behind-the-scenes visioning and promotion of Blue Forest Shores, and he is our sauna master. Mm-hmm. So he loves welcoming people to the sauna, don't you?
Yes, I love welcoming people to Blue Forest all together. So yeah, I hope you're gonna come visit and that we can go and sweat together in our wood-fired, amazing, beautiful sauna.
So yeah, come have a sauna with us. And Yarrow has a special connection to this plant. So this is sweetgrass, and I planted this our first year here, and it's now a massive patch spreading onto the lawn. And we know it's native here to our continent, North America, but it's also native in Europe, and specifically in Poland, where Yarrow's from. And so I was delighted when I visited Poland with Yarrow to discover they have a beverage there called żebrówka, bison grass, where they flavor vodka with sweetgrass, and it tastes delicious. And it's a part of their traditional herbal culture in Poland and France and other regions in Europe. So that's a nice connection. And I've, inspired by żebrówka, make a tincture with the sweetgrass, and we enjoy it on special occasions to celebrate both our cultures. So it is late October in my garden, so I don't have a lot of plants to feature. But I would like to share that when we arrived here, we had at least 40 wild medicines on the property already. And so over the past 6 years, I've been gradually adding more plants to the garden, as we herbalists do. And we're up to about 65 in this small zone, which was entirely weeds, mounds and patches of weeds 6 years ago. So we did a lot of work just to clear that and build all these various beds. And I was delighted to have this patch of wild rose, Rosa rugosa here. It is the gem of the garden when it's blooming. Lots of beautiful pink, fragrant, floral medicines, which I use for all kinds of preparations. And as you can see, the calendula is still going strong. It blooms from mid-June all the way till the first frost, which could take us right up to December 1st. And some other highlights would be some native plants. We've got the figwort, lobelias, Joe Pye weed, boneset. Got echinacea introduced. I've got teasel. I've been gradually letting teasel take over this patch so I can harvest the roots. It's a biannual and first year root harvest. So there's Lyme disease is a growing concern in Nova Scotia, so teasel root is one of the primary medicines used to deal with Lyme. Yeah, otherwise it's in its glory in the summer. It is a vibrant teaching garden, harvesting garden, both for my practice and for my personal use. I became acquainted with this beautiful wormwood here more intimately this summer. It has been going strong in the garden for quite a while, and I've just started experimenting with and enjoying its bitterness in small amounts. And we've got mostly perennials in this bed. We've got, easily 50 perennials that tend to themselves. I just do a little bit of work. I have volunteers that help in the garden. So in the spring, in April, I have a wonderful set of volunteers who help me wake up the beds. So I will leave all of the plants and stems standing for the winter for texture and for all the animals and birds that rely on them. And so come April, we have a lot of cleanup to do. So I have wonderful volunteers. I have a volunteer program. We garden once a week on Mondays, and we prep the beds for planting for the spring and summer, and then we have lunch and sometimes a sauna. So they really give me a head start, because as you know, if you're gardeners, it's a lot of work in the spring preparing the beds. Yeah, some other features would be I have the two species of vervain, so the Verbena hastata, the native vervain, and the Verbena officinalis. I've got the feverfew still in bloom, lovage, which I'm still nibbling on, and then my gorgeous elecampane roots, which I've been busy harvesting already during the waning moon in October. So I rely on seaweed that washes up on our shoreline as a source of soil nourishment and for mulching purposes to keep the soil from drying out. And we had an exceptionally dry summer this year, so it's been very helpful. And when it washes on shore, we've got the rockweeds and eelgrasses, which act as a weed suppressant as well. So this is a big feature of my coastal garden. This is my rhubarb patch, and I've also got some dandelion, which I'll be digging up pretty soon. So I've got a healthy colony of mullein that's been spreading around the property. These are year one. I can harvest these leaves for medicine. And we've also got lots of volunteer hypericum, St. John's wort, which you can see over there. It's still in bloom. The best feature of my herb garden is this antique bathtub. So I enjoy floral baths, herbal baths here, pretty much all spring and summer. My favorite is full moon floral baths. This is a really great way to connect with plants. And yeah, I actually enjoy naps out here as well. Okay, so we've got our neighbors and land partners here. This is Wouter and his son Ben and their lovely dog Nala. And Wouter's our land engineer, and he builds all the great things on the property, including this greenhouse here. And Ben's our surfer dude. So if you come to visit us here at Blue Forest, he'll tell you all the great surf spots. Next, we're going to go for a walk on the coastal trails. So this is the gateway to the Blue Forest forest, and we have a special ecosystem here where the wetland from the upper region of the property makes its way down the hill. Here we've got this wetland that then meets the ocean. So we've got special grasses that grow here. It's a marshy zone. And this is where I discovered wild skullcap for the very first time. So when I moved home to Nova Scotia in 2001, I had a little checklist of herbs that I wanted to find, and wild skullcap was one of them. And it remained elusive to me for almost 15 years. I never came upon it anywhere on my herb walks in the wild until we moved here. And I crossed this wetland, and there was a purple flower in bloom at the time, and it caught my eye. And I knew right away that I discovered the wild skullcap. So it loves this wet zone, this marshy wet zone, and it also inhabits a few of the islands as well. So I'll harvest it while it's in bloom to make tea, and it's rather bitter, but I find it has a really profound calming effect on my nerves. I've shared the tea with a few other herbalists, and we all agree that we've got some pretty potent wild skullcap here for calming the nerves. So I was really happy to discover it and all the other plants that you're going to see on this coastal forest walk. This is a fun transition moment from the trail along the coast, moving inland up this hill where we're going to encounter all of the yellow birch and a few other medicines in the forest. So join me up the hill. This is one of the highest elevations on the property, and it's the home of the Birch Sisters. So I live on the eastern shore of Nova Scotia, and the typical trees here include the spruce, notably spruce, balsam fir, and white birch. So we've got a special collection of predominantly yellow birch here. And so that's where you get the yellow leaves right now, the yellow bark, and we actually tap these yellow birch in the spring and drink the sap. And it has that methyl salicylate wintergreeny birch flavor. It's super delicious. And I've been harvesting the bark from the yellow birch to make liniments for joint and muscle aches and such. So we really appreciate these grand yellow birch. Some of them are giant and have obviously been here for a long time. So I only have 2 wee little patches of goldthread that I'm aware of on this 100-acre property, which surprises me because it's quite mossy. But I do have enough to at least use it as a teaching plant. So I don't harvest here. I'll harvest goldthread from more abundant regions. But I have it at least so I can show others so they know what to look out for. And Coptis trifolium, goldthread, is a common evergreen forest plant in mixed forests, usually in the mossy understory. And as you can see, it's a very shallow root. You just need fingers and gentle scratching to clear away the soil, to then get down to these yellow golden roots. And there we have it, goldthread, which is an awesome bitter. And I have a really great healing story with goldthread, a personal story. So I once had a really bad mouth ulcer on the side of my cheek, a canker sore, and it was at its peak. Usually it takes about 2 weeks for a mouth ulcer to develop, peak, and then decline. And so I was at peak mouth ulcer, and I was at a park in Nova Scotia called Cape Chignecto, and I came upon a massive patch of goldthread. And so I sat down for an hour, just like this, gently scratching and harvesting and chewing on goldthread for that entire hour, mixing it with my saliva. And I stood up from that patch an hour later, and I had no canker sore. It was 100% healed, which is rather miraculous because canker sores take a while to heal. And I was very uncomfortable with it. I couldn't eat or drink. So I was very grateful and remain grateful to goldthread for healing all kinds of ulcers, and notably mouth ulcers, throat ulcers, stomach ulcers. It's a great healer, anti-inflammatory and astringent. And it is fairly abundant throughout Nova Scotia, and a good source of berberine. However, I do seek out other sources of berberine like barberry, which we do have a lot of naturalized here in Nova Scotia. But goldthread is a great option for casual chewing if you ever encounter a mouth ulcer. Rexy's my herbal harvest helper, aren't you, Rexy? Yes. Rexy accompanies me on all my wild crafting expeditions. We've got a few chaga stands on the property, so you may know it as a very popular medicinal mushroom, and it grows on birch trees. So it prefers white birch, I believe, which we don't have a lot of on the property. So here we do have this tree, which is growing out multiple chaga fruit, and it's a teaching moment. I don't harvest the chaga here because we don't have much of it, but it's a really great way to learn to identify it by the dark black grainy texture of the fruit, and then when you carve into it you get the orange innards of chaga. So we've got a lot of it very happily overlooking the ocean here. It's got a good home. So I'm located on the eastern shore of Nova Scotia, and there are in fact 38 eco-districts in this province, and we are the Eastern Shore Eco-District, which spans about 300 kilometers along this eastern shore. And we have a fairly unique ecosystem here. It's a temperate rainforest-like situation due to the abundance of moisture rolling off the ocean and the cool water, the cool temperatures, and the display of plants that live here. So not quite like the temperate rainforest that you have out in BC, but we do have some similarities here. And so we get mild winters, cool-ish summers, and a predominance of the spruce and fir and birch trees and all the understory that come with them. And I'm pretty blessed to live on a property that includes 5 islands. One of them is 38 acres in size. So it's a great place to get lost and enjoy the feeling of island isolation. And the island right here in the harbor we've called it John Fitzgerald Island. So my grandfather was a wooden boat builder. So he would build small fishing dories, and he had friends in this harbor, the Jador Harbor, and he would come here for duck hunting. So he would launch his wooden boats on this shoreline and set up for his duck hunting, and would also set sail to do fishing from this harbor. So I've named this island after him, John Fitzgerald Island. And this is just one of our favorite view spots to have a look out at the mouth of the harbor. So we're situated in the Jador Harbor, which is divided by the east and west harbors. So our property is the peninsula that divides those 2 harbors. So we're in the West Jador Harbor, and then from here you can see the small channel, the small opening out into the greater Atlantic Ocean. So we're quite protected and calm in here. And very beautiful, this coastal display, coastal rocks, rugged shoreline, and the really small, short spruce and fir trees are very typical of this entire eco-region in Nova Scotia. Our land has an abundance of usnea lichen, the old man's beard, which is not unique to our land nor to Nova Scotia, but we do happen to have a lot of it. And you can find it dripping from the spruce and fir trees. So I do harvest from these trees to make tincture. So I do a 70% alcohol tincture extract of usnea to be applied to various bacterial infections, both topically and internally. So I appreciate this pristine, clean source of usnea lichen, which I think we all know can absorb environmental toxins. So here I've got the good stuff, and it's just a beautiful texture on the forest walk. So the naming of Blue Forest was rather coincidental. So Yarrow named this place within days of arriving here, and we settled in with Blue Forest for quite a while, and then we discovered that we actually live in a UN designated Blue Forest zone. So there's about half a dozen of them on the planet, and so a Blue Forest zone is an ocean forest zone, and there are different tidal depths. So this is the intertidal zone where our seaweeds, our rockweeds, are exposed to the air and the sunlight during the low tide, and then they're covered during high tide. And so one Blue Forest zone is the rockweed zone, which we inhabit clearly here on a lot of coastal Nova Scotia, especially on the eastern shore. We also have an eelgrass Blue Forest zone connected with our land, and a marshland. So we actually inhabit 3 Blue Forest zones right here. And then a little further offshore, we've got the kelp zone. So we live within 4 Blue Forest zones. So it was quite a coincidence that he came up with this name before we even knew anything about these Blue Forest zones. So I want to introduce you to rockweed. So it is this yellow-brown seaweed that covers our rocky shoreline, and I eat and use this as medicine. So there are about 4 rockweeds here on the shore, and they're all salty and tasty, quite fibrous, and some of them are mucilaginous in the little air bubbles. So they attach to rocks, and the air bubbles keep them afloat. So I will add these to my salads, and I like to harvest them for my facial masks and as topical treatments for skin irritations and sunburn. And seaweeds are rich in nutrients, so micronutrients, so they're a really great supplement to the diet. So I feel very fortunate to have this incredible food source and medicine right here on the shoreline, and I also get to enjoy swimming with it, snorkeling. I lead seaweed expeditions here, where we actually get on our snorkel and mask and swim out in this blue forest, this watery blue forest, to meet the seaweeds in their habitat when they're at their best, floating in the ocean. This is our sauna. It's made from almost 90% wood from this property, and we include the sauna in a lot of the herbal programming and retreats here. It's a special feature of Blue Forest. I'll show you inside. We've got these rocks that hold the thermal heat, so we use a lot of steam in here, including herbal steams with essential oils and herbal teas. So with that and this incredible view and the ocean dipping, this is a really therapeutic aspect of what we have to offer and enjoy here at Blue Forest. The first time we approached the property and walked down the long driveway, we noticed it was lined with eyebright, literally. And it was a sign, one of many signs that we should move here. So we've got eyebright. It's in its decline in October, but it's very common on the property, and it's a great source for medicine. I tincture it and use it not only for vision health, but for upper respiratory and brain health. So I feel grateful that we have such an abundance of this wild, precious medicine here. One more place I want to show you. Come on, Rexy. This is a very special building. Let's have a peek inside. So this is what we call the Bentwood Studio, and it was here when we arrived, and it is a beautiful construction designed in collaboration by a Mi'kmaq elder from Eskazoni, Albert Marshall, and Dalhousie University architects. And so they harvested the wood from the property and steamed it to create this bent wood structure that resembles an upside down boat. And so this is where you'll come for Bloom Institute classes. It serves as a dance hall, a meditation space, a general gathering space year round, heated by the wood stove. I'd say this is one of the gems of the Blue Forest shores. We'd love to host you for a visit here at Blue Forest Shores, and if you do come, you can stay in here. This is our boathouse. It literally feels like you're on a boat right on the ocean, and we have the best sunsets from here.